To be happy is every living being's right in this world. Everything that we do, everything that we say, why we are doing them, we do that to be happy. Just ask from yourself, why am I doing what am I doing? You can answer to yourself. You will find that the reason why I do everything in life to make myself happy. If I ask from you, why do you wake up early in the morning and just prepare some food and go out to work? To make yourself happy and to make others happy, isn't it? Yes. You gain happiness by making others happy as well. That you have to remember, right? So there are two types of happinesses in this world. The first type of happiness is called the material happiness, right? And also the other type of happiness is called the spiritual happiness. To call it a good life, to call it a perfect life, one must achieve these two types of happinesses in his life. One must experience both of these happinesses in their life, right? So from this video, I would like to share a wonderful teaching from the Buddha that explains about what are the types of happinesses that a person who is living in a household life, a family life, must achieve. Now, according to Buddhism, there are two types of lives. The first type of life is called the household life. That means the people who are living in a family life, right? Maintaining a family, living in a house, engaging in material pleasures and all the stuff, right? A household life. That means you, right? And also, there's this other type of life. It is called the monk's life, right? Which we can call them the homelessness life. That means we leave our houses, we leave our families and become monks, right? So that we no longer own a house. We no longer own a family. We no longer maintain a family, right? So the ones who renunciate the household life, the ones who leave the household life, they seek a higher kind of happiness, right? That doesn't mean that they don't seek any kind of happiness. We as monks, why we become monks is to seek the spiritual happiness. Now, when you become a monk, it doesn't mean you totally deny seeking the material happiness, right? But for a monk, there must be a limit for seeking the material happiness, because as living beings, we can't totally deny seeking material pleasure. As living beings, we must consume some sort of material pleasures in this world. But that seeking, that consumption of material pleasure must not disturb the peace and the spiritual happiness that a monk is seeking, right? So for monks, there are limitations for material happiness, okay? But it is less of the material happiness and more of the spiritual happiness. So in this teaching of the Buddha focuses on household life, a household, a person who is living a family life. To call that life a perfect life, a good life, the Buddha says that there are 4 types of happinesses that a householder must achieve in their life, right? The first type of happiness, the Buddha called it Arthisuka. What is it? Arthisuka. Arthisuka can be translated into English as the happiness of ownership. Now, what do you mean by the happiness of ownership? Buddha explains the happiness of ownership as one must work hard, put his time and energy and strive and earn money righteously in the correct way, right? He must earn money, he must earn wealth in the righteous way. Now, what do you mean by in the righteous way? Is by you should earn money without harming anyone, without harming yourself and without harming the other people, without harming the society, right? If you earn money without harming anyone, that is the righteous way of earning money. Now, Buddha said, as a householder, you must be happy and you must enjoy earning money, right? Buddha was someone who did not say that you should not pursue happiness. You should not pursue material happiness. The Buddha said, if you are a householder, you must do that. That is your duty, right? So the Buddha said, strive hard, work hard, put your time and energy to what you're working on, and earn money righteously. That is a happiness that you can gain, right? When you have enough money to your life, then you can be happy about thinking that I own this wealth. This is my wealth. That is sort of a happiness that one can gain, right? That is the first type of happiness that Buddha said a householder must achieve in their life at some point in their life, right? That is the first one. The second type of happiness that Buddha taught for householders to achieve is called Bogasuka. The Bogasuka can be translated into English as the happiness of enjoyment. Now, first you earn money, right? Now you spend money and enjoy it in the correct way, right? The Buddha says that you have to spend money in a way that you should not harm yourself and you should not harm the other people as well, in the righteous way, right? So that when you spend money doing good things like helping people, helping your parents, with your money, with the money that you righteously earned, and when you spend that money on the people who you love, right, to make them happy, it gives you a happiness, right? It is a great happiness that one can achieve. That you have to achieve in your life. Okay, so the second type of happiness that Buddha taught to achieve is called the Bogasuka, the happiness of enjoyment. The third type of happiness that Buddha taught us to enjoy in the life is called the happiness of freedom from debt. That we called Ananasuka. Ananasuka is the happiness of freedom from debt. Now, when you are free from debt, let's say you don't have any loans or any debt to pay, right? You're financially free. Then how much freedom that one can feel, right? You feel freedom, you feel a happiness that I'm no longer in debt to anything, right? I don't have any loans to pay, I don't have any debt to pay, so I'm financially free. That is a happiness that a householder must achieve in their life, right? That is a great happiness that one must achieve. The freedom, financial freedom, right? This is the third type of happiness. And then the fourth type of happiness, this is the most important thing. This is the most valuable happiness that a householder must achieve in their life, according to the Buddha. Buddha said, the fourth type of happiness is called Anavajjasuka. Anavajjasuka means the happiness from blameless life. Now, what do you mean by a blameless life? The Buddha says that you have to do things, you have to say things, you have to live your life in a way that you do everything with a good heart, with a good mind, with a wholesome heart, right? When you spend your life as a good-hearted person, as a good person, as a wholesome-hearted person, right? It gives you a bigger happiness, bigger enjoyment, thinking about who you are. That is the most important thing, because all the other material happinesses, right? All the other three material happinesses, it can give you happiness, right? I don't say that it cannot give you happiness, but if you did not have this happiness, Anavajjasuka, if your heart is complaining who you are, what you do, right? If your heart is regretting about who you are, then the other things doesn't matter, right? What matters the most is how you live in this life, right? At the end of our life, the most important thing that we can be happy about is how we live this life, how much love we give to other people, right? How much we help to other people, how righteously and how correctly we lived our life. So the Buddha said, you must achieve this happiness as well, right? So these are the four happinesses that a householder, one who is living in a family life, spending a family life, must achieve. So I hope this video and this teaching from the Buddha gave you a little light to your life. So I wish you all, may all of you be able to achieve all of these happinesses in this very life. Once, a student monk went to his master and said, "Master, I can't live in this temple anymore. I want to leave this place and go to a peaceful and quiet monastery. Then the master monk asked, Why? What's wrong with this temple? Tell me what happened. Then the student monk said, See, everyone in this temple are toxic to me. There are some monks who are too much into politics in this temple. And there are some other monks who always talks negative stuff about me and about others. And there are some others who spend their whole day doing nothing but just gossiping. I don't think that I can practice my spiritual life in this temple. Please let me go to a peaceful and a quiet monastery where there is no toxic people around me. Then the master monk said, Okay, I will let you go, but before going, you have to do me a favor for the one last time. Then the student monk said, Tell me, master, what should I do for you? Then the master monk took a spoonful of water and gave it to the student monk and said, You must carry this spoonful of water around the monastery and you should bring it to me. But here's the trick. You must never spill a single drop of water from it. If you can do it, I will let you go to a peaceful monastery. So thinking that the master will let him go to a peaceful monastery by completing this weird request, the student monk took the spoonful of water and carried it around the monastery, fully focused and without spilling a single drop from it. So after a few hours, the student monk came back to the master with a happy face and said, Master, I did it. I carried this spoonful of water all around the monastery, even without spilling a drop from it. So now, let me go to a peaceful monastery. Then the master monk said, Okay, my student, you are free to go. But before you go, just tell me one thing. While you were carrying the spoonful of water around the monastery, did you hear any of the monks talking about politics? Did you hear any of the monks gossiping about other people? Did you hear any of the monks talking negative stuff about you? Then the student monk said, Master, I was focused on the spoon and I didn't have any time to listen to all those noises. Then the master monk said, See, my student, if you are fully focused on your goal and if you are fully focused on your purpose, you don't have time to listen to all those other negative noises around you. Remember, wherever you go in this world, you will meet negative people around you. But if you're fully focused on your goal and on your larger purpose, all the other negative people and all the other negative words that you hear are nothing but just noises. Ladies and gentlemen, it is all about what we focus in our life. The more we focus on other people's behaviors, other people's words, other people's lives, there will be many toxic people around us. But if we are focused on ourselves, our goals, our purpose, all those negative stuff will become nothing but just a noise. See, it is easy to criticize other people. It is easy to see the dark side and the negative side of people. But it takes a heart of bravery and kindness to see the bright side of people. We all have imperfections in our life. We all make mistakes. We all make bad choices. And all those faults, imperfections are the things that makes us who we are. So when you work with people or when you are on social media, you will come across with people that you don't like. You will come across with ideas that you don't agree with. Remember, in all those times, you have the power to choose whether to react with negativity or to respond to them with positivity. Ladies and gentlemen, it is all about what you choose to do and what you focus in your life. So, focus on yourself and choose to respond to them with positivity. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Now it's been a long time that we haven't done a Q&A session. So today we are going to answer one of your questions. Someone has mentioned in the comments that it said that what to do when the life is becoming unfair and what to do when life is not going in my way. Well, we are going to talk about this today. First of all, remember the nature of our life. What is the nature of our life? Life is a little bit unfair. That is the real nature. But the problem is we expect that everything in our life to be perfect and to be fair. That is the problem. That is where the real problem is. Because Buddha said, if you have expectations, if you have more and more expectations inside yourself, chances are very high for you to feel so stressed. So remember that expectations stands for suffering. If you expect the life to be fair, you will suffer, right? So the nature of our life is, it is a little bit unfair. So how to face such situations, how to face unfair situations in our life? Well, I want you to do 3 things when you face tough situations in your life, right? These are very simple, but yet when you practice it, it is very hard to do that, but you can achieve it. Number 1, first of all, you need to realize what the situation is. That is the first thing that you have to do. If you're going through a hard time, right, you need to analyze about that and see what the problem is. Well, there are 2 types of situations in our life. What is that? First type of situation is the situations which are in our control. Experiences which can be changed by ourselves, right? And the second type of situation is the situations which are out of our control. We cannot do many things about that situation, right? So these are the 2 types of situations that we go through in our life. So first of all, you need to analyze and you need to see what the problem is, whether it is in my control or out of my control. Right? When you realize about the situation, then you can do something about that situation. Okay? That is the first thing you have to do. Analyze the situation. Number 2, if it is a situation that is in your control, just do something to change that situation. So, what are the things that are in our control? What are the situations and experiences that we face in our life and which are in our control? Well, if you face a bad time, if you face a stressful situation because of your own faults, because of a mistake that is within yourself, then you can change it. Because we own our mistakes. We are the owners of our mistakes, and the mistakes can only be changed by ourselves. No one can change that. Someone can advise you, someone can show you the path, but no one can make it correct than you. So, what you have to do, you have to change the situation. If it is your mistake, correct it. If it is your fault, then do something about it to change that situation. So these are the things that are in our control. Remember. Here's the third one. When we face the situations that are out of our control, how to face that situation? Well, these are the situations we spend most of our time trying to change that, but we cannot do anything about that situation. So what are the situations which are out of our control? There are many things, right? Criticism is out of your control. People's opinions, they're out of our control. How people behave in front of you is totally out of your control. They are their choices, not your own choice. But we try to change these situations and we become so sad and depressed trying to change, and we find that we cannot change this situation. So if you cannot change the situation, what you have to do? You have to change your perspective about the situation, right? You can change the perspective about the situation, because the perspective and the way you see that about that situation is totally in your control. Because your thoughts are in your control, right? So what you need to do is, if you cannot change the situation, change the perspective, change the way you see about that situation. Okay? So remember, when people act weird in front of you, when people try to make you angry, when people criticize you, right? When people give unwanted opinions about you, just think, these things are out of my control. I should not waste my time of my life to change these situations. It is much better to change my perspective about this situation. So how can you change the situation? How can you change the perspective? You can be kind to them, right? You can maintain a positive mindset inside you. Right? It is much better to maintain a positive mindset daily, every day. Right? Listen to some things, positive words every day. It is much better to do that, because the more you listen to the positive words, positive ideas, right? Then the more you become positive inside. Right? Then you can change your perspective about the situation. That is what you can do. Always remember what Buddha said. It is a nice quote that Buddha said that describes about the life. Buddha said, "Achinti tampi bhavati, chinti tampi vinasati." That is one of the greatest and one of the nicest quotes that Buddha have told about the life. In life, Buddha said, "Achinti tampi bhavati." Most of the times, unexpected things happen. Isn't that true? We don't know what will happen in the next time. Right? It is a mystery. So in life, always unexpected things happen. And the things that we expected will going to be destroyed. Right? If we expect something, we don't get the same thing. That is the thing. So, remember that quote that was said by the Buddha. Achinti tampi bhavati, chinti tampi vinasati. Right? And there's another quote that was said by the Buddha. Sadharanang vihanyanti. If you expect the life to be fair, chances are more that for you to suffer in your life. So live with less expectations, right? If you are going through a tough situation, just analyze the situation, realize about the situation, and if you can change the situation, do something about it. If you cannot do something about the situation, change your perspective. That is what you can do when the life is not going in your way. So make your life a peaceful one with the teaching. Now, one of our viewers have asked a question from us, that what is true love according to the Buddhism? Well, when we talk about the topic love, remember, as humans, as beings in this world, we all seek love and affection in our life, right? All living beings needs love to live. So when we talk about the topic love, it is a vast and a broad topic, right? Love can be found in many ways. But the basic and the base for all these kinds of love is the kindness and the compassion. But most oftenly, people may misunderstand the love and the attachment. Right? When we come to the topic of love between the partners, the male and females, boys and girls, many of the boys and girls, they doesn't know what is true love and what is attachment. Now there is a distinct difference between true love and attachment. So what is that difference? Well, when someone loves another person, he will say, I need you to be happy by being with me. Right? In the other hand, if someone being attached to some person, he will always say that why are you not making me happy? Right? So there is a big difference between these two expressions. When someone loves another person, he will say, I need you to be happy by being with me. That means you are trying to give something to someone. Right? You always try to give the happiness to a person. But if you are being attached to someone, right? If you are developing lustful ideas towards someone, your mind will say, why are you not making me happy? You need to make me happy. So that is based on the selfishness. Right? The true love is based on unselfishness. Right? In the true love, there are many things, many good assets. They are the love, kindness, compassion, patience. These are the basic qualities that leads to the true love. Right? If you are loving someone, you need to be kind to that person. You need to be compassionate to that person. You need to feel the sadness of those people. Now, when we talk about the topic compassion, compassion means to suffer with other people. That means if you can feel the pain that is hidden inside the people's life, if you can feel and become empathy, you can feel the empathetic feeling about them, then that is called compassion. If you can share the pain that is in another person with you, then that is compassion. So in true love, you need to have that sharing ability. And also, you need to have the kindness. You need to always wish the well-being of that person. Right? You need always to wish the good of that person. That is how you love truly. Our great teacher Supreme Buddha gave a wonderful explanation for the love. Supreme Buddha said, Mata yatan yang puttang ayusa eka putta manurakhe. As a mother who loves her only child, you should spread that same love to every person in this world. So when we talk about mother's love, parents, they does not expect anything from us. Instead, they love us. Now, when we were small, right, we were doing so many terrible things to our parents, right? Have you seen that the babies do so many terrible things to their parents, right? They drag from their hair, they pinch them, they cry, they yell, but yet the parents still love their children. So when someone is truly loving someone, it's like
They are holding them firmly and they are nurturing them. Right? But if you are attached to a person, you always expect the things from others. Right? You always expect the things that fulfill your desires. Right? When someone is attached and when someone is being lustful for someone, that means he's always expecting to fulfill every fulfillment and desire from that person. You're not trying to give something, always you are trying to get something from that person. Right? It's like you're holding on to something tightly. Right? Suppose you are drawing a cow or a bull. You are holding that cow or a bull from a rope. So when that animal tries to escape, what you are doing is you are holding it tightly. Right? The more you hold it tightly, you are the one who is getting hurt. Right? You are the one who is getting hurt. If you can let go, what will happen? You are not getting hurt anymore. So when you are being attached to a person, you will always get hurt. And you will never fulfill your desires, because desires and sensual desires, they never get fulfilled. We cannot make ourselves satisfied from those things. Okay? So that is what you call the attachment. In attachment, you hold on to things tightly. There is a great quote that describes about love. If you like a flower, right? If you like a flower, you will pluck that flower. But if you love a flower, you will water the plant, that flower plant. So if you love someone, what you have to do, you have to say that I need you to be happy with me. Right? I always wish the happiness of your life. If that happiness includes me, that is better. But if it is not, in that case also, I need you to be happy. That is how you love truly. And that is the difference between the true love and the attachment. Right? In true love, you don't expect anything from the person, but still you try to give the happiness to them. In attachment, you always expect the things from people and still you will never be satisfied from them. So choose to love the people correctly. If you choose to love people correctly, then you will be a peaceful person throughout your life. Welcome to today's video. In today's video, we are going to take a look at the concept of karma according to Buddha's teachings. Now, when you hear the word karma, the first question that comes to your mind is, what is karma? What is the meaning of this word? Well, if you take a look at the definition of karma, it gives the meaning of action, right? But in Buddhism, it is more than action. The Buddha said it is intentional action is the karma. In Nibbedika Sutta, Buddha explains this as Chetanahang bhikkhave kammang vadami chetayitva kammang karoti kayena vachaya manasa. Monks, I say that intention is the action, or intention is the karma. And intentionally or willingly, one performs actions or karma either physically, mentally, or verbally. That means that intention, chetana, or the intention, plays a greater role behind our karma. Now, according to the intentions, the karma can be divided into two types. Buddha said there are kusala karma and akusala karma, wholesome actions and unwholesome actions. Right? Now, what is wholesome action? They are the actions, they are the things that we do with wholesome intentions. Right? Like we do certain things with wholesome intentions like love and kindness, compassion, patience, serenity, right? When we do certain things from our body, speech, and our mind with wholesome actions, wholesome intentions, we generate karmas that are wholesome. And also there's the other side of the karma, that is unwholesome actions. Okay? Now, akusala karma or unwholesome actions is a broader topic, because so many people think that akusala karma is something that is bad when it comes to unwholesome actions, right? Akusala karma is not only bad, but also there's another hidden meaning behind this. And that is, there are certain things, there are certain actions that we perform during our day-to-day life, right? They're the things that we do in day-to-day life, like talking and writing and like sleeping and traveling. We need actions and we need intentions to do this. Intentionally we do all the actions. But they're not certainly unwholesome. So the meaning of akusala karma means the actions that do not fall under the wholesome actions or kusala karma. Of course, there is the unwholesome actions or the bad karma or the evil karmas that we do, and also there is other neutral karmas that we perform during our day-to-day life. So they are called the unwholesome actions, right? So based on the intention, the karma can be divided into two different parts, and they are wholesome actions and unwholesome actions. Kusala karma and akusala karma. Okay? And the word karma does not come alone. It comes with this word vipaka or phala, right? Vipaka, the word vipaka gives the meaning of result or outcome. And the word phala gives the meaning of the fruit. Okay? Now the word phala is a great word to understand about the law of karma. Let's understand about it in this way. Let's say I planted a mango seed on the ground. In few years' time, what do I get? I can have mangoes, right? And also, if I planted a chili seed, in few months' time, what can I get? I can get chili, right? So, when we plant something, a seed, it has the potential to give the result in the future, right? If I planted a mango seed, that mango seed has the potential, it has the ability to generate mango fruits in the future. Okay? Same like that. If I did a certain karma in this moment, right? If with an intention, if I perform an action in this moment, it has the potential to create a series of experiences in the future, whether it is good or bad, right? So remember, the vipaka is the effect that we are going to get in the future, right? Now, this whole idea behind this law of karma is the law of cause and effect. When we make the conditions for something, then we are going to get the results out of it in the future. Now, the nature of the results highly dependent on the nature of the karma that we perform today. Let's understand about this in this way. Now, I planted the mango seed, right? That mango seed had the power to generate mangoes in the future, right? But if I wish this mango seed to give chilies in the future, no matter how hard I wish, I will never get chili out of it. I get mangoes because it has the nature of generating mangoes. Same like that, right? If I did an action with an intention, it has the power to generate the experiences or the vipakas in the future. So if the nature of this karma that I am performing today has the intention of wholesome, or if I did with a pure mind, a pure intention, it can generate desirable experiences in the future, desirable results in the future, because that is the nature of this seed of karma. In the same way, if I did something unwholesome with an unwholesome intention, I will get unwholesome or undesirable experiences in the future, because it has the nature of generating undesirable experiences in the future. So this is the whole idea behind the law of karma. Now, why do we need to understand about the law of karma and how karma works? Now, if you had a good understanding about the law of karma and how karma works, it is very easy to be compassionate on others. And it is very easy to be compassionate on yourself. Right? There are certain things and certain experiences that happens due to our past karmas. Right? Now, according to Buddhism, we believe that we are coming from a long journey of rebirth that is called samsara. Now, in this long samsara, we have performed both good and bad karmas. So, in this life, we are going to get some sort of experiences from our past karmas. Okay? So, if you take a look at that, when the tough times comes, when the problems comes to your mind, sometimes people blame to themselves. People hate themselves and think like, I'm a bad person, right? I'm a bad person. I'm a negative person. No, right? Just because you performed a bad karma doesn't say that you're a bad person. Okay? Because each and everyone, we are living in this society, in this world, perform good and bad karma. Okay? So we don't want to hate ourselves. We can be compassionate on ourselves. Right? Everyone is subjected to this law of karma. And also, if you have a good understanding about the law of karma, it is very easy to be mindful and be in this present moment. Why? Because sometimes we worry about the things that has happened in the past, right? We worry about the things that we have done in the past. And we think like, oh, I did this thing and my whole life is ruined, right? Of course, you cannot change the past, right? That is the truth. You cannot change the past. And also, you cannot stop the outcomes of the things that you have done in the past, or the results or the vipakas that you have done in the past. Okay? You cannot change it. What is within your control and what you can change is this present moment. And if you become mindful about this present moment, then you can create good karma, not the bad ones. So I hope you got a little understanding about the karma and how it works. So until next video, stay happy and stay safe. No matter how good we are, no matter how talented we are, there are certain times in life we are going to make mistakes. We are going to mess things up in life. In such times, one of the most common things that we do is we hate ourselves. And this self-hatred can end up in serious situations like suicide. See how many times we say, I love you to someone. How often we say? We say it often, right? But how often we say, I love myself. I appreciate who I am. This is something that we don't do openly. See, in Buddhist practice, the first step of spreading love and kindness is to practice love and kindness, or spread love and kindness to yourself. So the Buddha saw that without being filled with self-love and self-kindness, you cannot be kind to someone else. So that is why we have to learn how to be kind and how to love ourselves without hating ourselves. So from this video, I'm going to be sharing with you few things that we have to understand and we have to practice to stop hating ourselves and to start appreciating and loving our life. Number 1, do not believe in labels. See, there are lots of labels that we have put on ourselves. For an example, your name. Your name is a label that was given by maybe your parents, and everyone start to call
from that name, and it became your personality. It became who you are. Okay? Same like that, we are so good at labeling ourselves with our imperfections, with our mistakes, or with our incapabilities. But here's the thing, the more we label ourselves with our incapabilities, for example, people say to themselves like, I am a person who is being angry all the time. Okay, I'm a person who has having a weak mindset. I'm a person who is lazy all the time. Okay, I don't have any friends. I'm not getting in with friends. Okay, I cannot be with these people. So the more you label like that yourself, it becomes your personality. And that is why we should not believe in the labels that we put on ourselves. Why? Because a label or your incapabilities or your weaknesses or your mistakes are just a thought pattern. And it is always can be changed. Okay? You can always improve. And that is why we should not label ourselves with our incapabilities and our mistakes or from our weaknesses. We always have the chance to improve and to evolve. Number 2, learn to accept mistakes. Mistakes are the proof that says that we are trying in life and we are not willing to give up on ourselves. Every great person in this world has made mistakes, and they have learned from their mistakes, and that is how they evolved, and that is how they achieved the greatness. Always remember, the mistakes will never define your character unless you define your character with your mistakes. So do not let your mistakes to define your character. Always you have the chance to improve and move on and make yourself a good person and improve yourself. Believe in it. Number 3, stop criticism. This is something that is very important that we have to focus on in loving ourselves. Stop criticizing yourself. Stop criticizing others. Now here I'm not talking about the constructive criticism. I'm talking about the negative criticism. Okay? Do not criticize others and also do not criticize yourself. Okay? Why we should not criticize others to put others down? In each and every time when we criticize someone, we give the message to our mind that we are better than them. Okay? I am perfect than them. And you set standards to yourself. Most of the time, these are not realistic standards. Okay? And when we cannot live up to our own standards, what happens to us? We hate ourselves. And that is how criticism steals the self-love and the self-value. And that is why we should not criticize anyone. And number 4, believe that imperfection is beautiful. Just take a deep breath and look into this nature. Everything has that one nature that is the imperfection. From the little plant to the great mountain, everything is imperfect, right? There is no perfectly symmetrical plant in this world. There is no perfectly symmetrical mountain in this world. Everything has the imperfection. And as humans, we also imperfect human beings, okay? And also that gives the chance for us to evolve. It gives the chance for us to be more productive and be more successful. See, becoming successful and becoming happy is not a destination. It is not a perfection, right? It is always a journey. We have to keep improving ourselves. We have to keep becoming successful, becoming happy. It is a journey that we go through in this life. So when you accept the imperfections, no matter how good we are, no matter how talented we are, no matter how great we are, there will be always imperfections in life. When we accept it, we can focus our kindness and our love towards ourselves. And also, every single day, this is something that you can practice. When you wake up in the morning, just sit on the bed and think, no matter how imperfect I am, no matter what mistake that I do in my life, I'm not going to give up on myself. right? I keep improving myself. I keep making myself a good person, a happier person, and I will never let go of myself. This is not something that is called selfishness. Selfishness is expecting many unrealistic things from yourself, right? And then when you're not up to your standards, you start to hate yourself. And that is why when you truly love yourself, truly love your imperfections, and truly love who you are and accept who you are, you get the chance to improve and you get the chance to evolve. And these are the things that we have to keep in mind in order to practice the self-love and improve the self-value. So keep practicing these things and make your life happier and healthier. Namo Buddhaya. That we all struggle to say, and that is no. N-O, no. Two simple letters, one simple word, but saying no can be the most hardest thing in life to do. Why we struggle to say no? The reason why we struggle to say no is because we have gotten used to say yes to many unimportant things in life. Okay? When we say yes to unimportant things in life, what happens to us? We miss the chance and we miss the time to say yes to the important things in life and to the things that really matters to us. Okay? And that is why we need to learn how to say no to unimportant things and how to say yes and how to be more focused on saying yes to the important things in life. Okay? So the reason why I'm doing this video is because a couple of days ago, I came across this word. When I was chanting, I came across this word in Karaniyametta Sutta. The Buddha says, Appakicho, do less. If you practice the Buddha's teachings, if you practice the spiritual path, or in any area of your life, you have to do less. Do not do more. Now, the society says the quite opposite thing to us. The society says that do more. The more you do, the more you achieve. Do many things as much as you can, then you will achieve. But turns out doing more will not help us to be more productive. Okay? To be more productive in what we are doing. To be more productive what really matters to in life. So that is why we have to master to say no to certain things in life and really be focused on what really matters to us. So from this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips that will help you to say no to unimportant things in life and to say yes and to be more focused on what really matters to you. Before learning how to say no to unimportant things in life, we have to understand why we say yes to unimportant things in life. The reason why we say yes to unimportant things is because of fear most of the time. Sometimes it is because of the fear of missing out. Sometimes it is the fear of letting someone down. Sometimes it is the fear of the only one to say no. Okay? Sometimes it is the fear of making the wrong decision. So that is why we say yes to unimportant things in life. And sometimes we say yes not only to the people, but also for the things in life. Okay? For an example, let's say you're studying. While you're studying, you have the mobile phone beside you. Okay? All of a sudden, you see a notification pops up on your phone. Now, you know that you're studying and you know that you have to be really focused on that. Okay? But you pick up the phone and you check what it is. Sometimes it is not necessary for you, but you check it and you say yes to that distraction. Let's say sometimes you plan to learn or to meditate in an evening. All of a sudden, you get a call from your friend and say that they ask for you to come with them to go shopping, maybe go to a party or to go to a walk. Because of fear of putting that person down or letting that someone down or to say no, we say yes to them. Okay, so when you say yes to them, sometimes we miss the chance and we miss that valuable time to be focused, to be more focused on what really matters to us. Okay, what really helps us to achieve our larger purpose in life. And that is why we have to learn how to say no correctly. So here are the few steps that you can help you to achieve that. The first step to saying no to unimportant things in life is to build a good self-awareness. Okay? You have to have a good understanding what really matters to you and why you say yes to certain things and why you say no to certain things. When you're aware of that, then you can easily say yes to important things in life and no to unimportant things in life. So before saying yes to something, just ask from yourself this question: why? Why am I saying yes to this? Okay, before saying yes to something or to a person, just figure out why you say yes to that person or why you say yes to that thing. Okay, before you say no to certain things, you have to figure out why you are saying no to certain things in life. For an example, let's say you need to check your mobile phone. Okay, your mind says to check your mobile phone. Before doing that, you have to ask from yourself, why? Why am I doing this? Why should I do this? When you ask from yourself that question, you become more aware of yourself. You become more aware of what you're doing. The Buddha says, before you do something or before you say something, just ask from yourself that is it helpful for me? Is this thing that I'm going to do is helpful for me or helpful for others? Is it good for me? Is it good for others? When you ask from yourself that question, and if you come to the answer that, yes, this is really worthy of saying yes, this is really worthy of saying, this is really important to me, then do it. But if you come across the answer that, no, this doesn't really matters to me, okay, it is not important to my life, then by all means, do not do it because it steals your time, the valuable time in your life. So the first step of saying no, learning how to say no to unimportant things in life is to build a good self-awareness. The second step of learning to say no to unimportant things in life is to build a good self-discipline. And now this is the most hardest part because it takes a lot of courage and grit to say no. And you need to be more disciplined to say no to unimportant things in life. Because sometimes the things that we say no, we have to say no to unimportant things in life, may be the most enjoyable things in life. Okay? Let's say like we all like to enjoy in life, but sometimes those things that makes us enjoyable will not help us to be more productive. Okay, for an example, let's say you are going to study and you're planning to study, you're planning to meditate, but well, sometimes your friends ask you to come and join to a party. Okay, now you like to go to a party, but you know that the most important thing in your life is the learning process. That is what helps you to achieve more success. The most important thing in life is to build a good spiritual, a strong spiritual base in your life. So then it is very difficult to say no to those things because we fancy in doing all those things. Okay, so that is where we need the self-discipline, to be disciplined and to say no. This is what really matters to me and I have to do it. Then you have to say no to those people politely. You can explain why you are saying no. Okay? I heard this one quote saying that learn to say no to people without explaining yourself. I would say learn to say no to people and explain why you're saying no to them. Then they can understand why you're saying no. Okay? So then they will respect your time and your values in your life. So that is why we have to learn to say no politely and correctly. The third step is to understand that your time is valuable. Time is the most valuable asset that we have in our hand. Okay? And our time on this earth is really limited. You don't have an infinite time on this earth. We have a finite time, and we have to use that limited time very well. So I would suggest, look at your time like you look at your money. Okay? So when you get money, you don't spend that money lavishly or to whichever the thing that you want. You don't put that money wherever you are. No, we become more serious, and you become more serious about your money. Same like that. Think about your time as you think about your money. Okay? Because money can be earned again, but the time cannot be earned again. You cannot take back the time. It is limited. And that is why in this limited time, you have to do the best thing that you can do. Okay? Be more serious when it comes to time. Don't waste it. Okay? It is the most valuable asset that we have. If you value time, if you respect your time, then you can say no to unimportant things, and then you can learn to say yes to what really matters in your life. Okay? So respect your time, and also respect other people's time as well. And the next step is to ask this magic question. The magic question is it really necessary? Before you say something, before you do something, before you say yes to someone or something, ask, is it really necessary? Do I really have to do it? Okay? Sometimes because we say yes to unimportant things in life is because we don't know that we don't really need it. For an example, let's say you came back home after a tired day. Okay? And you say yes to social media. And you scroll through, and it steals maybe 1 or 2 hours of your valuable time. In that time, there is someone that is valuable that you can do. Maybe to talk with your kids, maybe talk with your parents, maybe talk with your children. Then you can be more engaging with them and do something valuable with them. Instead of hanging out in social media and wasting that valuable time, just we can do something valuable. Before doing that, we have to ask, is it really necessary? Do I really have to do it? Then you can decide what to say no and what to say yes. Okay? So keep that in your mind. And the final step is to figure out what is really important to you, what really matters to you. Now, the most of the time, the reason why we say yes to unimportant things in life is because we haven't figured out what really matters in life. Okay, what really matters to us. So that is why if you have a good understanding what is the larger purpose of your life, what really matters to you, what is really valuable in your life, you can be more focused on that and say no to other things in life that really never helps you to achieve the larger purpose in your life. So I would suggest, take a quiet time in your day to figure out what really matters to me today. What should I do, and what is the most important thing that I should do today to achieve the larger purpose of my life? In that way, you will have a good understanding what really matters in your life and the things that don't really matter in your life. And be more focused in doing those things. Sometimes it is more enjoyable doing unimportant things in life. But although it is enjoyable, although it is hard to say no to all those distractions, we have to say no to them, because those are the things that prevents us engaging and achieving the larger purpose in our life. So finally, these are the tips that you can practice to say no to unimportant things and to say no to distractions in your life and to be more focused on what really matters. So finally, saying no can be really hard. I know it is really hard, but in order to achieve a happy life and a calmer life and a more disciplined life, we have to say no, and we have to learn to say no to unimportant things in life. So practice these little tips and then you'll be happy in your life. Namo Buddhaya.